affirmation for this morning's talk is, divine love is doing its perfect work in ... right now. It's a standard affirmation that's used widely in New Thought, in religious science, in unity and divine science. It's nothing new, and one of the things we say about New Thought is there's nothing new in New Thought. It's just the term we use. Divine love is doing its perfect work in ... right now. This is probably one of the most dynamic affirmations that you can commit to memory. A lot of people say, I can't think of affirmation, I can't remember them. But there's some real simple ones. You just grab hold of them. This affirmation fits everything. And the ... is anything you want to put in there. And I'm going to say, divine love is doing its perfect work in this situation right now. The simplicity and the profoundness of those words affirm that what? Divine love is operating. It's an operating law. It is doing its perfect work. Its work is perfect. Perfection is what we need, even though we may not see it and claim it. And that perfect work is happening in the situation, in my health, in my finances, in my disgruntled little child that I can't deal with today, all those things. And then the last thing that we add to this affirmation, very important, because when we affirm something and we don't put a time frame on it, you might have to wait a long, long time. So what we're going to do is affirm it when? Right now, whether you see it or not. And the question that we have for this morning is, why do I fail to see the truth? Why do I fail to see the truth? Do you know, every one of us fail to see the truth all of the time. And the truth is, about you and everyone else, that we are all children of God. Now, some of us behave badly from time to time, but it doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is how we see everyone. And what we're called to do is see everyone as a perfect child of God. Now, it doesn't mean we overlook their behavior, because behavior has consequences, but the consequences are not ours. The consequences are taken care of through either the systems of government or divine intervention, but the reality is that we are all children of God, and that is the truth. The other truth is that all things are working together for good. The other truth is that God and we are one. The other truth is that love is living dynamically through us. The other truth is, let's go back to the affirmation. The other truth is divine love is doing its perfect work in this right now. You know, Jesus told us in Scripture, the things that he did why? Because the Father was working in him and through him. And he said something else very interesting. He said, the Father is working when? The Father is working always. Never stops. Never stops. How many of you had a problem in your life or a difficulty in your life? Absolutely. Every one of us have. And we have this idea that if we just do things a certain way, and if we come to a certain understanding of spiritual truths, and we come to an understanding of relationship with God, that everything's going to go well in our lives. Well, that's true. But when everything goes well in our lives, it doesn't mean that everything goes without problems and difficulties. Because the problems and difficulties don't have anything to do with you other than what you get from them. But we identify with them. And we identify with them and we believe they're true. So how many of you have had somebody come up and say some horrible, insulting, or terrible thing to you that you were offended by and you just thought you'd never get over? Yeah, sure. And then somehow you came to find out they really didn't mean that at all. Or you came to find out that something terrible was going on in their lives and they were filled with conflict or hate or difficulty or fear. And so the things that people say and the things that people do are not always the expressions of who and what they are. And we need to understand that. And that's true for us as well. And because it's true for us as well, we should be charitable in remembering it in others. And we should be charitable in remembering it, especially in those who behave the most badly. And it is to let go of judgment and see everyone as a child of God. And also to see every situation along the lines of, what's the question? Why do I fail to see the truth? It's also true about every circumstance and situation. It's true about your health. It's true about the finances of your family and your individual circle, and also the finances of the world. It's true about everything. And these are capital T truths. This is how we distinguish them in New Thought. A capital T truth is a spiritual truth that is always true and always present. And it was Mary Baker Eddy who said we needed to see beyond appearances the truth. If we are to see beyond appearances, if we are to see the truth, then we need to see the truth and claim it in every circumstance and situation of our lives. And truth is within that experience, but it is not the experience, and it's not what we see. Just like those words that were said to you that offended you, those words came from something totally unrelated, and it wasn't about that at all. And so the reality is that that person is good and peaceful and all of the rest of it. On the issue of health, so the issue of health, the issue of prosperity, the issue of our finances, we don't respond and we don't get confused by the facts. We listen to the facts, we listen to what people have to say, but be cautious about what you believe about what they say. And remember that everybody's doing the very best that they can because that's all they can do. You know, this is Father's Day and Mother's Day. Mother's Day, Father's Day always evoke wonderful feelings for a lot of people, and for some people, terrible things, you know. And you know why? Because some of us had parents that didn't express perfection. And because of that, we have that memory and that thought. But the reality is that all parents are doing the best that they can. It may not be what they should do. It may not be the right thing, but they're doing the best. So we're all doing the best we can. So when you hear something from your banker or your bill collector or your doctor or anyone else, they're doing the best they can. And they're talking to you about what it is they understand, what they know. For them, they've got to grasp hold of what they believe to be true. And because they believe it to be true doesn't make it true. And it doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them that at all. The guy that fired you isn't bad. The guy that fired you did you a great favor. And that was, he gave you the opportunity to move on to new and more wonderful experiences. And he paid you a salary and put food on your table for a long time. And so when you get the pink slip and you lose the job, how you think and respond to circumstances, situations is everything. And what is the affirmation? We're going to claim the truth. The truth is the truth. And the truth is what I know to be true, even if I can't see it. Even if I can't see it. I know God is real, right? I know God's real. I've known that for a long time. I wouldn't be able to live if I didn't. And people want to know how you prove God's presence. It's a very difficult thing, but it's an inner knowing. We know that. We know it. It's just like, how do you prove that you love your children or you love your spouse or your partner? You can't prove that. You just know it. And so that's what truth is. We know the truth. We just know the truth. So the question today is, why do I fail to see the truth? We fail to see the truth because we believe appearances. The magnificent thing about this faith, because the magnificent thing about Jesus Christ is he told us that God is always with us. He told us that we could do great and wonderful things. He told us that we could be like him. He told us that the Father loves us with an everlasting love. He told us all of these things. And what we've done is we've built doctrines and creeds and buildings and all kinds of things, and we failed to understand the very basic essence and truth that we are the children of God, created in the likeness and image of God, and that God is present with us and never separated from us, and that God is there no matter what the doctor says or the banker says or your bills say. And that's always true. And if you just stay focused on that, I don't know what will happen, but I assure you the events will take place, and in the end of these events, all things will work together for good. The good news is that you and I are created in the likeness and image of God. The good news is that the truth is the truth no matter what. The good news is that the truth that we know in the physical realm is changing always as we understand. So the good news is if you get upset, if something terrible happens, if you see the doctor, if your checkbook's empty, you lose your job, relationship ends, you can claim the reality and truth of who and what you are. And by doing that, you can live in a magnificent, wonderful way. Jesus Christ did it. He did it even unto death. He did it bravely, he did it freely, and he did it without any kind of emotion. The one thing we know about Jesus Christ was he was a serene and peaceful being because he knew who he was and whose he was. He knew what his purpose was, and he lived it and he demonstrated it. And he demonstrated it right up to and including the way that he made the transition. This week, when you look at yourself, say, why do I fail to see the truth? And maybe you say, well, I don't fail to see the truth. I know the truth, and I always do. Well, then maybe just change that question around and say, why do I get depressed? Why do I get angry? Why do I get upset? If I get angry, depressed, and upset, where is that coming from? It's coming from the fact that we're looking at life and we're believing appearances. Well, this week, look at yourself and see whether or not you see the truth. And if you don't see the truth, and if there are little things in your life that need to be tweaked and little thoughts that need to be released and ideas that you need to let go of, maybe it's time to do that. Maybe it's time to do that. Maybe it's time to forgive somebody who said something to you. Maybe it's time to not believe what somebody told you, because it may not be that true. But don't ever doubt the capital T truth. The capital T truth is that we are one with the presence and power of God. The capital T truth is that you're created in his likeness and image. The capital T truth is that all things are working together for good. Everything. Even when it sounds terrible and awful. So with that, what do you have to worry about? Great life, huh? You should be happy.